Everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of our podcast. We're grateful to have each and every one of you with us. If you can give us a thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, repost, reshare, and even reach into your phone and let 25-year contacts know about the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you again. We're over 510 episodes going strong, and it's because of you. You're the reason why we have a show. You're the reason why we continue to have a show. And you're the reason we wake up in the morning and do what we do because we're helping people. That huge goal is to help reach and help at least 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And we're well on our way to doing so. Um, thank you very much. Um, very much appreciated. So this episode is going to be pretty rough here. We talk about asking for help, needing help. What do we do? And there's no cookie cutter answer where we're able just to pull out a handbook or a laminated card in our wallet or our purse and say, okay, if I do this one thing, if I see somebody in need, I say this, I text it, I email, then everything's gonna be just fine. And while it would be nice if it was like that, it'd also be nice if life in general was like that, uh, where we could, open up a manual and be able to have the right answer for every situation, everything that we're doing. And that's just not the case. I mean, there are some books, tips, tricks, all that. Yeah, so you have some of that going on. But when we really get down into situations, it's not that easy. And sometimes there's not really great choices of being able to solve a concern that is going on. And I bring this from, love and support from me to you, to anybody watching, listening, to anyone who has ever watched or listened to our show or tuned in and joined us at any of our events. And that's heartbreaking. It really is. It it really is because like for me, there's different ways to group our attributes in our mind. Like me, I'm a fixer. If I see something and I know how to fix it, I'm gonna try to fix it. I may be unsuccessful, but that's where I come from and this level. Trying to fix a situation. And it doesn't mean that I'm the best person to do so. It's just I'm a fixer. So I like to fix things. And it's very hard when there's no easy choices. There's no easy fix where we can again reach into our pockets or purses and we look at it and we see, oh, okay. If you recite these words in this particular order, you will fix every problem. It doesn't work like that. We all know that. Life doesn't work like that. And especially when we talk about loved ones, uh, people in families, where we want to help, we want to fix, we want everything just to be okay. Especially when there's children involved. When you have children involved, it takes it to a whole new level. Or in fact, just family in general. Because everybody's, seeing if we can come up with different ideas, different solutions. But in the end, it is the individual that has to want the behavior to change. No matter how hard we want behavior to change, it's got to be that person. You know, I look back on the time for me leading into November 2017 when I went into the hospital. It was scary. It was even scarier to try to handle things on my own. I was crying out for help, but I didn't know what help looked like, what it felt like. Because again, there's just no handbook. So many different doctors tried so many different things. And it wasn't until I gave in. I I just wanted fixed. And while I wasn't fixed then, and I'm not fixed now, what has changed, at least a little bit, is my perspective. Because I know that I can't fix every situation, every challenge. And I know there's so many of you watching and listening. Asking for help is a hard thing to do. It's one of the hardest things to do in life. Because we're not used to doing that. We're not used to saying, look at me, I need some help. That's not the easiest thing to say. Why? Because society no matter what anybody says or thinks, still doesn't look at mental health as health, which it is. Mental health is just part of our health. And the stigma's still out there. I've just done a couple of episodes not too long ago about a healthcare company, about a pharmacy. And if I like bang down the doors to get a hold of people to make something happen, to get my medications, I've been taking them for years. I could have just given up. And that's what some people do. Because when you're in that state of mind and you're in that, no man's land, let's call it, of we want help and then we reach out and we got this prescription and then can't be filled because it needs this prior authorization form that neither you nor your provider, psychiatrist, therapist knew that you needed to fill out. And so days just go by. Because I'll tell you, when when the days were getting closer to me being in the hospital, the last thing I wanted to do was to be on the phone with somebody because I had tried so many people, so many different ways to get help. But again, I didn't, no matter what, I don't, I didn't want to think it was mental related. And right there, that's called stigma. However, once whatever, I said I swallow my pride, my ego, and, and just got the help. Every day's a work in progress for me, for you, for everybody across the world. Every single day. Every single day. So while we think about, well, how do we talk to an individual or about getting help and about, potential destruction of a family, it's got to be that person. It's got to be. They have to want it. There's no quick fixes. Again, I talked about me being uh, a fixer or trying to be a fixer. Like, let's solve this problem. And so, like, well, what's the environment? What are all the other factors to are coming into this question? And you're like, all right, well, we needed the trash taken out, so I took the trash out and things like that. I don't do everything right. I don't do everything perfect. Nobody does. But this show is dedicated to each and every person who has made the bold step to get help. Because that's really what bringing families closer together. Because I'll tell you what, have children are going to notice a whole lot more when I don't want to say craziness, but there's stuff that just doesn't make sense going on in the household. Kids are going to notice that more than if a loved one has to spend a few days in the hospital. Because what a person may not realize is it's not just the family that suffers, it's all those people and their families that suffer as well. You know, conversations that no longer happen as frequently. Where if we're at an event, sitting in a chair away from people instead of sitting with the fans and the people, or I know, that's that's not just noticeable to the children. It's noticeable to others. And judging is not okay. It's not. For anybody that judges others, it's not okay. The flip side of that is people judge no matter what. We can say, let's not judge, let's not judge, let's not judge. But there's still times where we're like, oh, did you see that? Did you hear that? And then the whispers start. So I'm pleading with each and every one of you. If you think something's off, go to the doctor. Go to the hospital. If there's a lot of irrational thoughts, thinking that kind of feels like came out of nowhere, this episode's for you as well. Everybody looks at, not everybody, a lot of people look at being admitted to the hospital as a bad thing. And I'll be the first to say I didn't want to be admitted to the hospital. It was already bad enough I was going to be diagnosed with something mentally. Ended up being multiple things. But to this day, I don't even know if I would be here if I didn't do that. If I didn't do that. And we just don't want those thoughts creeping into our mind. We don't want our kids, our children to grow up in the household that things used to be one way, and now all of a sudden it's like turning on a dime, a full 180. It's like, wait a minute, where'd this person come from? This wasn't my parent. So reach out for help. So what if you have to stay in the hospital a couple days? Big deal. A couple days to live the rest of your life with help versus a very unknown future, trying to handle everything on your own. It's heartbreaking, as I mentioned. It really is. If you or somebody you know is experiencing a crisis, 988, text 988, pound 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week here in the United States. You can go to the website and do a chat there. I won't say there's a ton of resources, but what I will say is compared to 10 years ago, when I was kind of going through, no, when I was going through kind of the lowest of depths, there was no 988. There was no way to have a non-emergency crew come to the house, evaluate a person. There wasn't there wasn't choices like that. And I said it a million times, I'll say it again. There's nothing scary about therapy. You're an expert on yourself. It might take you a few counselors to find the right one for you. That's okay. And counselors don't take offense to that because they want a good fit. They want a long-term relationship. Because, as you may or may not know, for each different doctor, therapist, whatever the designation is, for every new person like that, they may be able to look at notes from the prior provider, prior therapist. But one of the questions that makes a lot of people not want to go to therapy, go see a psychiatrist, take medication is tell me why you're here. What brings you here today? I understand it's supposed to be an icebreaker. I get it. But what the medical team, medical staff has to think about is more than likely that person has already told that story tens of times, and that gets mentally exhausting. It really does. I remember I was like, oh my gosh, I have to explain it again. Then I think, what if I miss something? What if I miss, I don't know, a certain area? I remember, I remember I was taking the ambulance to the hospital where I ended up being admitted. That was one thing I told person, the ambulance crew, because I thought I was going to forget something. So I said, I forget what the thing or things were or are. And I said, can you make sure you remember that? Can you tell them? Because I don't know if I'll remember. Because I like to, I'd like to fit everything in that I can. And if I omit something, not on purpose, just when our brains are burnt out and on top of all the other things that were going on, I wanted to be sure that I covered everything that had been going on, the feelings, the symptoms, everything. So thank you for joining us today on this episode. Not an easy episode for me or for you watching or listening. It's a pretty grueling show, but a much needed show. So we're saying extra prayers for a lot of people that we may never meet, but need our help, need our prayers. So until next time, you can give us a thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost, and reach out to 25 contacts in your phone. Share the Voices for Voices podcast with them wherever they find their podcasts. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on a future episode of the show. Bye for now.